had your fair share of press conferences where so many of the questions are negative.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a positive one today because you're playing well, you're winning matches, you've now got this record unbeaten run in Europe.
Yeah.
Everything's rosy at the moment.
Well, I think if you go into football management, you're never always going to get it rosy because it's just the nature of it. You need to be very lucky as a manager to have a period where you don't have bad spells. I've had plenty of them through my career, and at the moment I feel as if we're in a good run of form. I think we've been playing well. I think we've picked up some good results. We'd like to win a couple other games, but I'm really pleased with how the players are performing. They're doing a really good job.
And you've spoken in the past on a number of occasions about your desire to build a new West Ham.
Yeah.
Can you see that playing before your eyes at the moment?
Well, I think when I came in, the biggest thing is I saw West Ham with a club with the potential for huge growth. I really did. You know, I was very fortunate enough to see some big clubs and be at some clubs for long periods, and I really thought that West Ham had a real chance to grow and get better. I believe we are. I think even the 3 years in a row in European football for West Ham hadn't been done before. I think getting to a final, getting to a semi-final, even finishing in European positions and challenging near the top of the league, I think is a really big thing. But I think more importantly, I think was for me was to see West Ham as a football club grow as well. You know, many more young supporters coming to the games now because there's really players they can identify with. They do huge work in the East End of London, West Ham as well, and we've got a big stadium which maybe at first wasn't maybe accepted by all, but now it's our home with 62,500 nearly filling every game. So it's a really big club in this part of London, and I still think that we're only really scratching the surface. I think there's so many more things we can do.
I know you get asked a lot about Jarrod Bowen, but he's now had an England recall as well. When you see Jarrod day in, day out, do you still think that there's so much more room for potential as well for him?
I think Jarrod's getting to a stage now where he's maturing with his all round play. I'm thrilled he's called up for England. He works really hard, never misses a day's training, puts himself out there every day and practices to do what he does best. He's scoring goals for us. We played him last night in a European game as a centre forward. He's beginning to become a much more talented player all round, and you have to remember this is a boy who started at Hereford and a period at Hull City, and now's stepped up. So it's great. It's great when you see boys who progress through the leagues, and he's doing brilliantly well here at the moment.
In terms of your opponents on Sunday, they're coming off arguably their greatest result this century. A huge night at St James's Park. Is it inevitable after that? You've been in football a long, long time. Is it inevitable there's a bit of a come down?
I don't know if it's inevitable. What I will say is I think they had a night in Europe which will all be remembered for so long. I used to remember when I was a young player at Celtic, the nights in Europe were incredible, the European nights, and then we had a great night here a few years ago. We saw Seville, a night against Seville here, and we won in extra time to get through. I think there'll be nights in football's club's histories where you always remember. I'm sure Newcastle will always remember the night they had against PSG.
I'm not asking you to do Eddie Howe's job for him, but when you've had those huge nights, either as a player or more importantly as a manager, how psychologically do you get the guys ready for the next league game on Sunday?
Look, I just think that when you start to get involved with European football in Premier League games, it becomes a difficult cycle, whether it be psychological because of a good result or a bad result. I think just the process of having the extra games, like we've had to play on a Thursday or a Sunday, we've had it now for 2 years. And I think it's very difficult to explain, how difficult that is. But the level of the Champions League, the how well you have to play, the standard of the players, the preparation you need to put in to do the job, it becomes huge as well. So all those things add up to the game. I don't know if it's absolutely to do with how well you play or how badly you play.
Hi David.
Hi there.
I wanted to talk about Lucas Paqueta. Yesterday he made his 50th appearance for West Ham, scored a fabulous header as well. Do you think fans are now seeing the best of him, and personally, how much are you enjoying watching him on the pitch?
Well, I think probably from after the World Cup last year, Lucas has started to show some form. But we said many times that a lot of the new players coming to the Premier League can take a bit of time to settle in and have to be given that opportunity. He's an incredibly talented footballer who's shown everybody his worth in many ways. He scored a great goal last night. He done another lot of good things, but there's things that he does which I said last night as well. I pull my hair out at times as well, and I think, my goodness, what are you doing? But I've got to say, we're enjoying having him. He's a great character. He works hard for the team as well, so he's got so many good qualities.
Jarrod said after the game, of course he set up Lucas for the goal. He said he loves playing with him, and you mentioned playing Jarrod in that centre forward position. I just wondered what you had made of the way your forwards combined yesterday.
I thought our forward players, especially in the early part of the game, played really well. I just felt it was maybe the right time to see if we could have a look at Jarrod at centre forward in a really serious game. It wasn't a pre-season friendly. It was a game that had a lot of riding on it. And I thought him and Lucas done a brilliant job. I thought the goal was a really well worked goal, great cross and terrific header by Lucas. So we took some really good things out of it. I think we're needing more options, more variables in what we're going to do in the forward areas if we can. And last night gave me some other ideas.
Will fancy Paqueta and back on Sunday?
I'll need to see. He's not trained yet. He's done some running with the medical people. So over the next couple of days, hopefully we'll find out if he's fit to play.
I just thought I'd ask, I know you've touched on it a little bit, how are you finding the packed fixture schedule? How is it impacting you and the team?
Well, we're pretty used to it now, but undoubtedly what pleases is we have an international break. It's not great for the international players, but it's not bad for the manager and the coaching staff that you can have a few days off and the staff can sort of take a breath of air in, really. But it's completely intense, the scheduling. You know, we've had a long week this week, but if you're going to be in European football, you're going to find that. But that's also the reason why you try to have a bigger squad as well. And we have no players, we have a bigger squad, and we've tried to use as many of them as we can. And whether it be the League Cup game last week against Lincoln, or whether it been against the Serbian side the week before, or in the game last night. So we have to try and spread the minutes around while still trying to win.
Does it give you confidence going into your next European match being top of Group A at the moment?
It certainly does, because I think this has been the toughest group in the 3 years we've had. And I think being in this position just now is great, but I've got to, I wouldn't want to talk too much about it, because we've got to go to Athens in a couple of weeks' time. And we still have other, even Freiburg again to play again at home will be a difficult game. So I'm certainly not counting my chickens. But I said in a press conference the other week, I think if we're in European football after Christmas time, I think that'll be really good for us. And my aim's to try and do that.
And we've touched already on Newcastle as well on Sunday. I mean, both teams coming in off the back of a win in Europe. They're becoming quite a tricky team to beat. How are you feeling about meeting them Sunday?
I think Newcastle are one of the best teams in Europe at the moment. Never mind the Premier League. I think they've got so much quality in their side. I think the manager's done a really good job at a football club which had, was unsure maybe what direction they were going to go, and obviously they've had help from the new owners. But I've got to say, the manager steered them into a sort of organisation, a shape, and I think they're up with some of the top teams in Europe at the moment.
And there's another assist for Ward-Prowse yesterday. How exceptional a signing has he been for you since he's joined the club?
You're right, he's been exceptional, and his all-round play has been very good. Obviously, he gets picked out for his set-piece delivery, which I don't think it's in, which people didn't know he had it at Southampton. But he certainly helped us score goals, helped us make goals. And he didn't make the England squad, but I'm sure that if there was any way that people were dropping out, I don't think he'll be too far away from the England squad. And he's a great boy, great professional. And I think I use the word because I think he adds value to every side he plays for because of what he can bring with his deliveries, but also with his professionalism.
And finally, I did want to mention that he said yesterday after the game that he was disappointed that he didn't make the England squad. I know you obviously trusted Southgate in his method, you said before, but were you surprised not to see him get a few wins?
No, I wouldn't get into Gareth. Gareth picks his team. It's hard enough picking my own team here at West Ham, so I'm certainly not going to try and pick Gareth's team. That's for sure. But I know that he'll not be a million miles away from the manager's thoughts. But on the other side of that, I have to say England have got some terrific young midfield players coming up, and there's always going to be competition to get in the England squad.